The past 12 weeks have been quite an experience for me and probably an experience for you, because I've learned about the history of Eskom, the national electricity provider in South Africa, as well as the activities of this powerful organization. Welcome, I'm Tim Modise, and I hope that you found something for yourself in the past 12 episodes of the Eskom Journey programs. In today's episode, we will be reviewing and recapping on some of the topics that we covered over the past few months. This Eskom Journey has been quite a revelation for us. We learned about the different stakeholders, we learned about the different activities within the organization, and more importantly, we also learned about the developmental work that is done by Eskom. Today, I'm going to talk to two representatives of Eskom, the spokesperson, Khulu Pasiwe, as well as the marketing manager in corporate affairs, Madeline Kadzinga, who will be telling us about their experience of having worked on this program with us. Well, Khulu, it's been quite a journey for us here on Eskom Journey, and it started with brainstorming, thinking through stuff on how we should take the Eskom message to the public. From your point of view, as being the spokesperson of the organization, what are your reflections of the Eskom Journey program?
Well, Bratim, it has been an interesting journey indeed. When we started the concept of this program, we were basically saying that we need to make people aware of some of the things that Eskom is doing internally. Many people know Eskom as just a power producer, but we do things that are also beyond the production and supply of electricity. So some of our CSI projects or social investment projects, for example, we were able to highlight some of the work that Eskom is doing in terms of uplifting communities and taking kids to school. Currently, as I speak to you, we have just over 100 artisans and nuclear operators that we are training. It's part of our social upliftment program, and those guys, once they are done after 5 years, they'll either work for Eskom within our power stations that we have, the nuclear power stations, and a new one that we are going to build, or they can also work within the continent itself, because as you may know, Egypt is planning to build a nuclear facility. Zambia was also here, the president was here last week, also trying to say that they also are planning to build a nuclear facility. So far, we are happy with the progress we have made, and people now have a bigger picture of what Eskom is and some of the things they didn't know about how we operate.
I suspect that some of the activities that are taking place within Eskom were not even known to some of the employees. After all, it's a big organization with a variety of activities taking place. I'm not sure if you've had any feedback in that regard, that people say, wow, you know, I work for this organization, but I was not aware that these are some of the things that are going on within Eskom.
Well, true, Bratim. You know, sometimes you have someone who works within finance. All they do on a daily basis is just to focus on the finances, and that's it. They have never been to a power station. They don't know how the power is produced and ultimately as to how it gets to your houses. But through this program, they were able to see some of those operations, and they also become, I would say, mini ambassadors in terms of explaining some of the concepts to people, and how we as a nation are trying to make sure that we build new capacity, to make sure that we keep the lights on for the country, and to also grow our economy.
You know, Eskom has attracted attention, especially around the politics, if you will, around it, because given the size, given the role that it plays, and given the fact that it's a state-owned enterprise. But it's got a wide variety of stakeholders. If you can just talk to me about the other stakeholders that through the Eskom Journey you were trying to address.
You know, Tim, generally people think that we only speak or focus on the mining houses and large industrial customers, but the residential customers play a very important role within our supply chain. We also have small businesses. For example, just recently we had a meeting with small business people, owners in Soweto, and they were telling us about some of the inconveniences that they used to have during load shedding. And the one that really struck a chord with me was when some of the mortuary operators or owners in Soweto were telling us that during load shedding, the bodies were not kept at a particular temperature. This creates problems for them. So those are some of the things that really send a message home. And we as a company are doing everything now to make sure that we no longer go back to those dark days of load shedding, partly to address these issues, but most importantly, also to boost the morale of our people. We have 47,000 people within the organization. But the difficulty is that during load shedding or when we have uncertainty and instability within the organization, it also affects them. And when it affects their morale, sometimes obviously it affects their output, which is why it's very important for us to make sure that we stabilize the company both in terms of our operations, meaning that we have to keep the lights on, but also in terms of our finances to make sure that the company continues to operate without any glitches. So far things are looking good, and the plan basically is to make sure that over the next 5 years we become so financially robust that we no longer depend on any state funding.
And going forward, I mean, there are still a whole number of things and issues that Eskom has got to address. What are in the medium to long-term issues that you will be communicating?
In the immediate or short-term basis, Pratim, the rating agencies have raised issues around our credit rating. They are concerned that we are almost near junk status. So, and for us to extricate ourselves from that position, we need to make sure that some of the things that we have control over, for example, stabilizing our management. We currently do not have a CEO, we have an interim one. So I'm sure in due course the board will make a determination as to who they will choose to become the permanent CEO, and also the issues around our liquidity as a company. We currently have improved, but we just have to make sure that we become financially sustainable. And our long-term plan ultimately is to make sure that we no longer depend on government guarantees, because we do understand that the government has so many other priorities and pressing ones, like funding students in universities. Companies like Eskom and others, we just have to make sure that we run our operations and improve ourselves so that we can limit our dependence on the state.
Now, the controversial issue of the nuclear build program, Eskom is going ahead with that, right? And then is it an immediate project that you're starting with? So if you can just give us a sense of how you're going to deal with it going forward.
Parliament basically has given us the right to now continue with our project to build the facility. We have also been given the mandate by the Department of Energy to be the procurer of energy, meaning that we are the ones who are now going to take the responsibility of inviting the bidders so that we can start building. But ultimately we're going to build a 9,600 megawatt facility, but we're not going to build it all in one go. We're going to do it in smaller sizes so that we can, as the Minister of Finance has said, we want to build this project at a scale and a pace that we can afford as a country. And the most important thing again is that we're not going to build in one facility per se. Of the 9,000 megawatts, some of it will be in the Eastern Cape in a place called Daysband, and the other could be at the facility where we currently have the Quebec Power Station in a place called Fontaine. So in the next, say, 20 to 30 years, we will be gradually phasing in those 9,000 megawatts.
Madeleine, thanks again for giving us time to talk to you. You have been our go-to person here at Eskom, and I hope we did not trouble you that much and you found the Eskom journey enjoyable. If you didn't, this is an opportunity for you to tell me why you didn't like what happened.
Tim, let me say that it was a wonderful experience for me, not only for me only, but also for the rest of Eskom colleagues as well, and all the people that have been involved in the whole project, because it was also some of them, it was their first time experience. And we also got to learn the business more. We also got to connect more as employees, as colleagues, as we were implementing the project. Before I was employed in Eskom, I thought it was just about electricity, generating electricity, transmitting and distributing. But as we are rolling out this project, I realized that it is more than just electricity. You can do healthy in Eskom. You can do some business projects. You can also do a lot of research, innovation. I've learned about innovation. These are some of the projects that I also learned, and they've empowered me in terms of understanding the business more.
It must have been quite a challenge to match the message to the stakeholders. How did you go about that? I mean, besides us having to trouble you in doing that.
I think what was key for us was to identify the need for our customers and for our stakeholders, for them to understand Eskom and to know Eskom better, because we are their partners in this journey of electricity, in this journey of powering the world. So it was a key thing for us to identify what is it that our customers need to understand about us. What is it that they know and what is it that they don't know, and then we needed to close that gap. So for example, if I can tell you about safety. One of the episodes, our first episodes that we ran, the first one was on public safety, which also spoke about safety in the house and safety outside the home. And also it was talking about our zero harm, which is our main message in terms of safety.
Ma ukhipha iplug angithi sewabilile amanzi egedleleni, so uyakhipha iplug. Before we khipha iplug, switcher off. Ngicela niyenzeni leyo nto leyo.
If I take, for example, the research, testing and development, I've picked that we also work with the universities, with the school children. We also work even with the toddlers. They also need to understand this product that is called electricity, the goodness in electricity, and also the risk associated with electricity. These are some of the things that we also picked.
But now, we spoke to some of your colleagues within Eskom in the different areas that you've mentioned. What about the other colleagues who may not have appeared on the program, but followed it, watched it? What feedback did they give you? What was their sense of what Eskom Journey is all about?
For them, what the feedback that we got was it was very interesting, and most people got the confidence in the organization, got the confidence in their daily work. According to some of the people that I spoke to, they were actually calling for more episodes to be implemented, because for them they also wanted to have their activities or their departments to be covered. So the moment we started running this project, it also enlightened a lot of people, both in the organization and outside.
Of the issues that we covered, which one to your mind stood out and you think might have had a greater impact on the stakeholders that we were trying to address?
Operation Kanyisa, I really like that project because it teaches me a lot. It also makes me grow as an individual about my ethics, my ethical behavior. Am I ethical? In as much as I have to be ethical in other disciplines or other spheres of life. Am I also ethical on the product that I'm using on electricity? We also talk about saving lives. Most people are being killed through electricity theft, especially the innocent children, illegal connections. They're killing people. But as Eskom, we have said, we are not going to keep quiet about it. We have to talk, we have to educate people, we have to enlighten people.
The Eskom Journey has been quite a revelation for us. We learned about the activities of the organization. We learned about the expertise within this organization, as well as the various stakeholders and the issues confronting Eskom, as well as the interests and needs of their customers. But one of the highlights for me was finding out more about the developmental work of Eskom. Let's take a look.
The Rural Infrastructure Program is one of our national programs which is meant to support the educational infrastructure at schools throughout the 9 provinces. It is mainly aimed at the peri-urban and rural schools predominantly. For instance, this one, it was a partnership identified by the Department of Education. As you may see, the school is called Chief Albert Lutuli Primary School in the Lutuli village. When we intervened here, the other 2 classrooms were used as the administration block for your management of the school. We then had to fund towards the new admin block that you see we have built here. We then made sure that we also bring the kitchen here, because you cannot teach your learners with empty stomach. The future plans is to continue bringing infrastructure such as this assist quite a lot, especially I must say there is a dire need in the rural areas, and this is where I think we make a much difference as opposed to urban areas.
We started with the program in 2008. Statistics have proven that up to 80% of startup companies fail within the first 2 years. And Eskom has embarked on this program to help emerging companies, contractors and suppliers to grow and sustain their companies by teaching them the fundamental business management principles so they can sustain and grow their companies. They come for a week, a month, over an 8-month period where we skill them in these fundamentals. Basically project management, business skills and finance, how to tender the NEC contract, how to manage their people, the check module, how to be able to do their own safety files, and then there are other modules like support on AIDS and safety and so on. I believe from an Eskom perspective we are very proud to be part of this, and we need to support government as far as job creation, skills development and poverty alleviation is concerned, and make sure people are skilled and they become successful in the way forward.
The Business Investment Competition, or BIC as we call it, was established in 2008 because the foundation has a mandate to focus on social development and economic development. The competition is open to any South African who owns a registered business, who is black owned, and we're very proud of that. Because as we know through the history of our country, black people have been so marginalized through legislation that here's an opportunity for them to be empowered to participate freely in the economy on an equal footing. And that's very rewarding when we see 1, 2, 3 years after they've participated in the competition, how successful they've become.
The kids are just amazing. I saw a project this morning about what they call the zebra house, where these kids have done research around how a zebra remains cool. They took this idea and they said we could implement this for a house. There's up to a 3-degree difference in temperature in the one house that's painted like the zebra. Fantastic. I mean, you wouldn't think of something like that, but there it is. The kids are thinking about it. So when you see these young people, you know it's a country that's going somewhere. There's an energy about it that says, we're a winning country, we're a winning nation.
And the future of Eskom Journey, any comments about the program?
You know, Pratim, this has been a very successful program for us. We are currently looking into ways of making sure that we continue it and also to incorporate other people who may have benefited from Eskom that we did not touch through this program. So in the near future, we will be coming back with an update as to how we want to take this journey forward.
Thank you very much, Kulu, for
You're
talking
welcome,
to us.
sir. Thank you so much.
Appreciated. Thank you. I have a sense that as much as we dealt with the whole variety of topics, we've just scratched the surface, that there could be other areas of Eskom that we are not familiar with.
I think what we did was just see a tip of an iceberg. There is more to that. We can talk about generation. What are the ins and outs of generation? We go into transmission. We've got distribution. What happens in distribution? We can also talk about our control center. There is a visitor centers. We talk about nuclear in Quebec. Another thing also is about bursaries. We offer bursaries through our HRI, and we also support people in education. And